Thank you, and good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the deliberations of this subcommittee. My name is James Bradbury. I'm a senior associate in the Climate and Energy Program at the World Resources Institute. WRI is a nonprofit, nonpartisan think tank that focuses on the intersection of the environment and socioeconomic development. I'm pleased to be here today to offer WRI's perspective on the climate implications of U.S. liquefied natural gas exports. I encourage this committee to consider not just the economic and geopolitical opportunities of LNG, but also the environmental and particularly climate-related implications. In my testimony today, I want to emphasize a number of points that are often overlooked in this discussion, in particular, fugitive methane emissions and the cost-effective solutions available for reducing them today. LNG exports will lead to an increase in domestic production of shale gas, which will have important environmental implications, including an increase in U.S. greenhouse gas emissions. One major emissions source is leaks from natural gas infrastructure. Methane is the primary component of natural gas and a potent greenhouse gas with a warming effect that is at least 25 times greater than carbon dioxide. These fugitive emissions represent lost product and reduced revenue for companies and governments, with negative consequences for air quality, local environment, and the climate. In 2011, methane leaks from domestic natural gas infrastructure resulted in more greenhouse gas emissions than all of the direct and indirect emissions from U.S. iron and steel, cement, and aluminum manufacturing combined. These upstream emissions, along with emissions associated with the liquefaction, transport, and regasification of LNG, significantly reduce the relative advantage that exported U.S. natural gas would have over coal or oil from a climate perspective. The bottom line is that the projected expansion of domestic oil and gas production increases the risk of higher greenhouse gas emissions if proper protections are not in place. The impact of LNG exports on global carbon dioxide emissions is expected to be fairly minor. The International Energy Agency estimates that an expanded global market for natural gas would reduce global carbon dioxide emissions by a mere 0.5% by 2035. But these scenarios do not consider associated upstream methane emissions. The U.S. EPA estimated that the scale of leaked methane from global natural gas and oil systems is projected to be 10 times greater than IEA's estimated CO2 reductions resulting from a future with more abundant natural gas. Ultimately, U.S. policies are needed to reduce these fugitive methane emissions if natural gas and LNG are to be part of the solution to climate change. WRI research has found that such policies are among the most important steps that the U.S. can take today to help meet our greenhouse gas emissions reduction goals. The good news is that most strategies for cutting leakage are highly cost-effective, and the EPA's recently finalized rules are already having emissions benefit. But there's more work to be done. By stepping up to address these emissions, the United States has an important opportunity to improve our economic and geopolitical standing by showing leadership in addressing global climate change. We can do this through common sense policies that promote the development, deployment, and export of low emissions technologies and practices that will allow for the cleaner production and more efficient end use of natural gas here in the U.S. and internationally. While there are some benefits to increased natural gas production, there are also risks and associated costs. Further expanding our reliance on fossil energy resources exposes us and our allies to the destabilizing effects of climate change. In its 2010 Quadrennial Defense Review, the Department of Defense found that climate change could have significant geopolitical impacts around the world, including weakening fragile governments, food scarcity, spread of disease, and mass migration. For energy markets to serve the public interest, the price of energy must reflect its true costs. Society pays when our healthcare premiums rise due to the harmful health effects caused by high ozone levels and other air pollution. Taxpayers pick up the tab for climate change when more frequent extreme weather events cause increasing damage to our communities and critical infrastructure. Yet every day that we take no policy action on climate change, we make the policy choice to let climate change run its course. The present course ignores the overwhelming consensus of climate scientists who have been warning for decades that rising greenhouse gas emissions will cause the planet to warm, sea levels to rise, and the weather to become more extreme. It is indisputable that these climate changes are already happening today, in many cases much more quickly than expected. urgent action is needed. I'd be glad to take questions. Thank you.